Hello everyone, my name is Gajendra Deshpande and today I will be presenting a talk on Python and FOSS in education for Generation Z. So FOSS is nothing but free and open source software. So these are the contents which we are going to discuss today. The Generation Z, so that means who are the students who belongs to Generation Z, then BYOD, so what do you mean by BYOD and how it is important in education, what are its advantages and disadvantages. Then we are going to discuss few tools such as QPython, Blockly, VisuPy, then textbook companion project, and Flogorithm, then how we can build a new programming language support. It's the example for Julia language and how we can create it using Python template. Then finally the future goals. So Generation Z. So these are the people who are born between 1995 and 2010. So these are the true digital natives. That is from their earliest youth, they have been exposed to the internet, social networks and mobile systems. That means they are all gadget oriented people. So you see they use a lot of gadgets like mobile phones or even earphones, etc. So these are very tech savvy people and they believe in hands-on learning. So, and if you consider the teachers now, they are not belong to, they don't belong to Generation Z, they belong to the previous generations, that is Generation Y and Generation X. Then BYOD stands for bring your own device. So with BYOD, you are creating one-to-one classroom. Students bring and use their own devices, their own choice of technological devices in the classroom. So BYOD has got many advantages and disadvantages. The benefits of BYOD are that your students know the device because after all it is their device, so they know clearly how to use that device, so you do not have to worry about the device's configurations. So it shows that technology has many possibilities and cutting edge devices are possible because generally whenever students buy any gadgets they buy the recent one and it is cost effective from the side of an institution. So institute does not have to invest much in procuring the advanced devices. Then learning outside the school hours is possible. Then respect for the device, since it is their device they use the device very carefully. So otherwise if it is the institute's device or if it is others device, then they may not use it with care. Then it also helps in building the organized student community. Then the disadvantages of BYOD, that is bring your own devices, are that there are students without devices because of their financial conditions. They may not be able to buy the devices, even maybe a simple phone. Then the different devices, we don't have a control here. Each student has got his own or her own device preferences, their own configurations. So it may create problems sometimes whenever they want to connect to a classroom or to a teacher's system in a classroom, because some may have Android based mobile phones, some may have iOS based mobile phones and so on. Then it also creates a distraction because students may also use it for other purposes. Maybe they may use the device for chatting apart from learning inside the classroom. Then it results into a not responsible student. Now many countries have got BYOD policy. That means if you see the example here, Austria, USA, and many countries in Europe, like Estonia, Finland, Norway, Portugal, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Australia. So they have the BYOD policies. They encourage BYOD in the classroom. Even in India, AICTE is encouraging the use of bring your own devices concept in the classroom. Now, as we know that uh, because of BYOD, the students will be able to use or able to bring their own device and use it. So most of the times when we say bring your own device, actually it is the laptop. But many people or many students, we have observed is they don't get their laptops because of various reasons. Some may not have purchased it, or some they don't want to bring it. So for them there is a solution that most of the people they have the smartphones, so you can use the smartphone for teaching learning process. So what we can do now is, if we are teaching a class using Python, right, or if you are teaching a Python course in the classroom, then there is a very nice mobile application called as QPython. So it basically runs only on Android now. Okay, so QPython is a script engine which runs Python programs on Android devices. It also can help developers develop Android applications. So you can also develop here web applications. It has also got the support of Jupyter notebooks. Then the advantages are that you can easily develop the applications. So QPython includes a complete development kit which help you to develop programs with the mobile. And it is very powerful because you can extend it as you want. Then it has got a great support. So commercial support can support your development with QPython API or embed QPython SDK, that is software development kit. So it can save you a lot of time. Yeah. So to download QPython, you have to visit www.qpython.com. It comes with two versions. One is QPython and second one is QPython 3. So whatever screen you are seeing here, screenshot, so it's the welcome screen of QPython software. So you can see here two more screenshots, like QPython also supports terminal and it also supports the Jupyter notebooks. It can execute Python programs on terminal and notebook on Android programs. So let us see the small demo here. So what I have done here is I have installed QPython on my mobile phone and I have connected my mobile phone's screen on laptop using TeamViewer. So there is a option now, QPython OL. So you can click on that. So you can see here we have got the same screen which we had seen. Now the important ones are here, three options: terminal, editor and explorer. If I click on terminal, so you can see here it is showing me the terminal window. Here I can directly start typing the Python code. Let's say I'll say 10 plus 20, and when I press enter, you can see here it is showing me the result 30. Let me also try to print some message here. Print hello QPython. Okay, so you can see here it has printed the message. Now let me come out of this by typing exit. Yeah, so again I'm back on my screen. Now there is an also option called as editor, so you can type your entire program, entire Python program here, and you can save it and also run it. So I'll write hello PyCon Korea. Okay, so this is what I have typed. Now you can see here there is a run button, right? So when you click on run button, it says a warning, do you want to save the changes first? So you can say yes to save the file. Now you have to specify the message file name here. So let's say hello1.py and save it. So you can see the message at the top that it's saved, and you can also note the change there from untitled to hello1.py. Now again, let's click on run. Yeah, so there is some error here. Yeah, that's fine. So let's go back and modify the program. Yeah, so after that you can save it. Now let's run it. Yeah, so you can see here that it is showing the message that program has run successfully. So then there is also a third option called as Explorer. So come to Explorer here, then you can see here there is an option called as Notebooks. So there are some Jupyter notebooks here. So let's click on welcome.ipy NB file. Note here that if you want to open Jupyter notebook and work with it, the option has to be enabled. Then only you will be able to start the Jupyter notebook. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, so it says that please enable QPython QPy notebook in the setting. Let's say okay, but it was already enabled here, so not a problem. Yeah, so I'm able to open it here. So you can see here that there are already some code written. So to run any code block, just click on that and run this option, next option, then again run next option, right? So you can see here whenever you are clicking on run, so it is now running the program, right? Okay, so it has printed the message hello 10. So just a small message has appeared on the screen. So this QPython is very useful tool to be used in the classroom. So now again, let's move back to our presentation here. Yeah, so this was about QPython. The next tool is Google Blockly. So Blockly is a library created by Google. It's basically created using JavaScript. It supports many languages. So it's a library for building visual programming editors. Blockly is a library that adds visual code editor to web and mobile applications. The Blockly editor uses interlocking graphical blocks to represent code concepts like variables, logical expressions, loops, and more. So it allows users to apply programming principles without having to worry about syntax or the intimidation of blinking cursor on the command line. So basically, if you have played jigsaw puzzle game, so it looks exactly like that. So you have here different code blocks. You need to drag and drop appropriate code block and make the appropriate setting there. So together it creates a code block and you can run it. So you need not have to worry about the syntax of the programming language. So from the user's perspective, Blockly is an intuitive visual way to build code From a developer's perspective, Blockly is ready-made user interface for creating a visual language that emits syntactically correct user-generated code. Then next, Blockly can export blocks to many programming languages, including JavaScript, Python, PHP, Lua, and Dart. It also supports Arduino. Now, if you want to build a different language support, the entire Blockly source code is available. It's open source. You can refer their documentation, and you can generate the support for your own language. Now, Blockly is one of the growing number of visual programming environments. Deciding which one to use in your application is an important step. So here are a few Blockly's biggest strengths to help you make the decision. So first one is the exportable code. Users can extract their block-based programs to common programming languages and smoothly transition to text-based programming. The next one is the open source. Everything about Blockly is open. You can fork it, hack it, and use it in your own sites and Android applications. Then extensible. Tweak Blockly to fit your needs by adding custom blocks for your API or removing unneeded blocks and functionality. Then it is highly capable. Blockly is not a toy. You can implement complex programming tasks like calculating standard deviation in a single block. It is truly international. That is, Blockly has translated to 40 plus languages, including right to left versions for Arabic and Hebrew. Okay, so whatever you are seeing on the screen now, it's the basic user interface of Blockly. And you can see here that this is a very simple code which prints hello world message for up to 3 times and up to 4 times basically here. You can see here on the left side you have the Blockly code, and on the right hand side it is the generated code in Python language. Let's see how it works. Let's see the demo again. So yeah, so you can visit this site developers.google.com/Blockly. So you can see here this is the basic code which is written and loaded. So if you want, you can modify it. So you can see here that these are the languages supported: JavaScript, Python, PHP, Lua, and Dart. Let us select Python here. Now see here, when we select Python, the code has been now converted to Python language. Now let's click on Run button. Now it says hello world first time, second time, third time, fourth time. Okay, so 4 times hello world has been printed. So these are the different blocks. So you can see here there are different blocks. You just need to drag and drop it here, right? When you drag and drop it here, it will generate the corresponding code automatically. So you can see here, so it has generated the code, it is generating the code. So if, whenever you want, you can just go on putting a block. So just for demonstration purpose, I'll write some value here, right? But I will not execute this code block. So this is just for demonstration. Okay, so likewise you have got several other options for functions and etc, right? Even for mathematical operations, there are functionalities. So square root of 9, when I just drag and drop it here, so it generates the code for it. So it's very simple to use and it's a great tool. And you can see here there are a lot of things which are built using Blockly. So you can do a lot of great things. Okay, so let's move back to presentation again. Yeah, so next tool is the VisuPy. This is the code visualization tool. Actually, this was one of the project in CERN's WebFest 2020. So some team has created it. I don't have the exact details, but if you go to the following link, that is webfest.cern/projects, you will get the link, and there is also a video on it. So you can watch the video to understand how it works. So basically, what you can see here is it is just the opposite of whatever you have seen earlier. So what your Blockly does is it generates the source code from the blocks. Okay, you are dragging and dropping the blocks, and once it is done, you are generating the source code. But here you have the opposite way. You have the source code here, and you want to understand the working of the source code and flow of the source code. So in this case, from source code, you are generating the visualization. Okay. Then next, this is also a great project related to Python. So it is known as Python Textbook Companion Project by FOSSEE, that is IIT Bombay, India. So the Textbook Companion activity aims to create a repository of reference material for Python by coding solved examples of standard engineering textbooks using Python. So this activity intends to make individuals learn Python through a practical approach, provide a huge database of companions as a learning resource, to make it easy for to make it easy for users of such textbooks to start using Python, to improve the documentation available for Python. So here it was an interesting project. So what they do is there are some textbooks. So you need to select a textbook, and for that, from that textbook, you need to pick the examples and you have to write the code in Python language. So in this way, they created a huge database of Python programs which can be used in teaching that particular subject, but with Python examples. So it was again a very interesting concept. Right now, they are not accepting any proposals, but in the past, many have participated here, and the advantage is that the selected fellows will be paid by FOSSEE project, and they have been paid in the past. So to get more details, you can visit this website, https://tbc-python.fossee.in. Yeah, so this is the user interface. So if you visit this website, you will get all the details like who can contribute, how to contribute, what are the guidelines for coding. Everything is mentioned here on this site. The next interesting tool is the Flogorithm. So Flogorithm is a free beginners programming tool that is based on simple graphical flowcharts. So it looks almost similar to Google Blockly, but it has a different concept because it deals with the flowcharts. So typically when a student first learns a program, they often use one of the text-based programming languages. Depending on the language, this can either be easy or frustratingly difficult. Many languages require you to write lines of confusing code just to display the text hello world. By using flowcharts, you can concentrate on programming concepts rather than all the nuances of typical programming language. So you can also run your program directly in the Flogorithm. So once you understand the programming logic, it is easy for you to learn one of the major languages. So Flogorithm can interactively convert your flowchart to over 18 programming languages. So it includes C#, C++, Java, JavaScript, Lua, Perl, also Python, then Ruby, Swift, Visual Basic.NET, and so on. So the greatest advantage of Flogorithm, what I see here is, so we see that many students' native language is not English. They come from rural backgrounds. They don't have access to the English medium education in their early education. So it becomes difficult for them to catch up with English medium instructions. So in that case, we can use tools like Flogorithm or Blockly, where they can just concentrate on building the logic instead of the syntax and semantics of the programming language. So that's a great way of teaching programming for beginners whose native language is not English. So Flogorithm has some features, that is, there is easy to understand output, graphical variable watch window, then it can interactively generate a real code, that is 18 plus languages including Python is supported. It also supports safe recursion, it supports loops, arrays and flexible expressions. Then it also supports multilingual support including Korean. So user interface you can have in your own language, you can draw flowchart in your own language. That's the advantage here. If you don't find the language for you, if you don't find the support for your language, then you can write to the creator of Flogorithm, to Devin Cook. So he will provide you the file and you can translate and send him. So he will integrate it into Flogorithm software. So we know that flowchart means there are some symbols. So these are the symbols which are supported here. So you have support for comments and breakpoints. Then you also have input output symbols. Then you have variables symbol, then control flow statements, function calls, looping statements. So all basic flowchart symbols are supported. Yeah. So you can see here, this is a simple program which is created. So what it does is it just computes the sum of n numbers. So on the left side, you can see here that there is a flowchart, and on the right hand side, it generates the source code in Python. Then on the right bottom corner, you can see the output of the program. So let's see the demo again for Flogorithm. So when you start Flogorithm, you will get this window here. Let me, if you want to change the language, so you can see here. So it supports so many languages, including Korean. Then also there is, so let's change the view layout windows. So I would like to have flowchart, code as well as output in the same window. So that's why I have chosen this. So let me open some program here. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So let's print a hello message program. So let's select hello output symbol, then just double click on it. Then in a quote, just write message here, hello Flogorithm, and say okay. So you can see here it has generated the code in Python. So similarly, if you click here, you can see here that it supports so many languages, right? Now it has generated the source code. Now let's run it, and you can see here at the bottom it has displayed the output. Okay, so this is about Flogorithm tool. So you can visit Flogorithm website here, that is flogorithm.org, to get to know about more details. Now let's go to the next concept, how we can support or how you can build support for a new language, for Flogorithm using templates. So if you visit this URL, that is the documentation URL, so some templates are mentioned here. Lua, Java, Pascal and Python templates are mentioned. So let's download the Python template. I have already downloaded the Python template. So it's in txt file. So you can just go on making the changes here. So I wanted to create the support for Julia language. So instead of Python, I'll write Julia. I'll write extension as .jl. I will list here Julia's keywords. Then similarly, I will also make appropriate changes here, appropriate changes at appropriate places. Let's say, for example, these expression syntaxes will be changed. Then yeah, so Julia doesn't support some operators here, so I need to make appropriate changes here. Then some interject functions, so whatever functions my language supports, that I have to mention here. So if something is not supported, just remove it. Okay, so similarly you can see here these are the syntax of Python programming language. So I don't want it here, so just replace the syntax of your own language. So in my case, I will replace it with Julia. So I have already done it. It's available on my GitHub repository. Okay, so once it is done, you need to save it with an extension .fpgt. So that is Flogorithm template file. And what you should be doing here when you generate the source code is that, yeah, so instead of Python here, now you need to select appropriate template file. So open template file, and this is the Julia template file. And when I say open, so you can see here that it okay, fine. I think there is some problem, fine, but it selects the code, appropriate code will be generated. So let's go back to our presentation again. Yeah, so the advantages are that it's easy to use, drag and drop and corresponding code generation is possible. It is very beginner friendly and great tool to learn problem solving. So code generation is limited. For example, 2 or more dimension arrays are not supported. So language specific features are not supported many times. Presently no support for Indic languages, so we need to develop support for Indic languages, especially with respect to the user interface, so that it can reach to the villages and it can reach to the students of village at their early age, so that they can be introduced to computing at their early age. Yeah, so this we have seen. Then the future goals is that add Indic language support for Flogorithm, then customize Blockly for more languages, then more code visualization tools can be developed, then more gamified tools are required to enhance learning and to create better experience of learning for students. Thank you everyone for your patient listening and providing me an opportunity to speak at PyCon Korea. Thank you everyone.